Hi, it's Tony Ozanne, and on today's episode of the Small Interview Project, I'm going to be talking to Christoph Zierholz from Zierholz Brewery, and he's the maker of this little baby. Alright, I'm here today with Christoph Zierholz from Zierholz Premium Brewery in Fyshwick. How are you today, Christoph?
I'm well, thank you.
That's good. All ready for the Small Interview Project?
Absolutely. I think I fit sideways into the small interview.
You do. Zierholz Brewery, tell me what it is that you guys do.
Started the company about 7 years ago or so now. The idea behind Zierholz was to actually start a regional beer and be sort of a producer of a locally Canberra product with the aim to get into local venues and give Canberrans a chance at their own beer.
Okay, so I noticed you've got a restaurant as well, so is that a recent addition? Or?
That was a sort of evolution. First started just as a one-man show, making beer out here in Fyshwick and delivering it to various pubs and clubs, and been very grateful for their support. However, I found it quite tough going to break into the tap market because obviously beer market's quite lucrative, and taps are very well protected at times. So I thought, well, how do I get the beer out there? It could have gone towards packaged product,
right?
But I think draft beer is always better, and also just putting another beer on a shelf might not get you picked up either. So to have our own restaurant attached to the brewery where people come in, have a good experience on it, but they can see through the window where and how the beer is made, I thought was the best step forward from there, just to get us more known, and then maybe go to packaged product later on down the track.
Okay, no, that's good, and I like the fact that you can look through and actually see where the beer's being made too, because it's something good to watch as a average consumer.
Yeah, I mean, beer making does take a little while. It's not really a spectator sport.
No.
But certainly also the one great thing is when people come in as a group and we do a brewery tour and explain it to them how it's actually made, and they can experience it hands-on, and just how much goes into it, and they go away with that much more. They
appreciate it more.
They leave the place with a lot more than just the hangover, you know? Not that our beer gives hangovers.
No preservatives?
No preservatives.
Excellent.
Or other additions.
Okay. All right. So I guess I think I might know the answer to this question. Is this one of your ultimate dreams? Like, why did you go into business? Is it the ultimate male dream to own a brewery, or is there another reason?
I think it probably is, but at times now I've refined that thought to saying that a smart man would only want to, marry a brewer's daughter or move to a store to one rather than actually own it and have all the headaches to go with it. No, the decision to go into an actual business, I was in public service before. I was working as a soil and water scientist for many years and really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the people that I worked with. But the time came when I kind of said, hey, you're still kind of young enough to go out and do your own thing. And I'd always had an interest in maybe becoming self-employed one day down the track. And I found through amateur brewing that I had a bit of a talent for making a nice beer, and I got a lot of satisfaction from just making it and giving it to other people and the feedback that I get. Ended up brewing a beer for a local comp, and the brewer at the Wigan Pen afterwards approached me and said, can I have the recipe to make a beer for the Wigan Pen based on your homebrew recipe? And it was, hey, what he does commercially is no different to what I do at home.
Yeah.
And that got the grey matter working. And I thought, no, I could do this in Canberra. By then I'd been here for 15 years, now 23 and counting. I thought it was right for its own beer, because the local wineries have gone good in the market.
Sure.
And Canberrans have got this quiet air of proudness in their city now, where before everybody was Canberra bashing, but now it's like, hey, we actually make really good stuff. And beer, I always say, is just water with improvements, and Canberra water is probably the best brewing water in Australia, I would think.
Okay, so it's all directly from water from the tap?
It's pretty much water from the tap, just a little polished filter, that's it.
Okay, interesting. If you had to start again, would you change anything or do anything differently?
I would have probably wanted to start it when I was 25, not 35.
Right.
Not broken my back. I would have got myself a couple of assistants. I learned a lot of lessons, and sure, I'm a fairly stubborn kind of git, and at the beginning there's lots of times when I just ended up working harder and harder and longer hours rather than working smarter and getting to know what it is that, especially on the marketing side and things like that.
Sure.
I I'm a typical producer with passion for his own product, but not really confidence in going out there
Talking about it,
or talking it up enough, because nowadays everything's dominated with marketing and consumers are just bombarded all the time. So to make yourself stand out when you're kind of wanting to do the quiet approach and just have your product speak for itself is quite difficult and probably not the smartest way to go.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what about your biggest challenge in business so far, or currently?
Keeping my sanity, I suppose. Or,
well, how do you do that?
I don't think I have. No, the challenge, I guess, is just working out where I can put my efforts the best, time-wise. I love the production side, so I'll probably focus on that more, when really I need to spend probably as much or more time on looking after my existing clients in terms of the wholesale. Now that we've got 2 restaurants, we've opened another one at Canberra University, all the staff issues and all the distractions that you get, and you start to lose sight of what it is that you need to... Yeah, that's right, and how to move the business forward. The other thing is, the last couple of years for the sector, it's been tough, so we were just getting to the point where we're moving forward financially finally, and then the GFC kind of hit, and now we've got to wait for the election to be over and all the other things. There would be things I would do differently, but it's very hard to pinpoint.
Yeah, it's difficult to pinpoint. How about adding the restaurant to the operation? Like, did that add sort of exponential complexity to the business, or did you sort of know what to expect from that?
Again, it's had to learn a whole heap of other things. Not coming from a business background at all, then starting a manufacturing company, then a hospitality business. It almost seemed like not an exponential, but just another whole different
dynamics
or challenges, if you like. For sure. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you address one of the biggest challenges that I certainly come across in people working on versus in their business? So they get stuck doing the actual doing versus the strategic and the things that we talked about before.
I think you said, how do you manage? I think I don't do it very well, if I do it at all. No, I guess, I suppose the one advantage of many sleepless nights is you have a lot of time to think about these other things. And that still excites me, is to strategically try and grow our company to where we want it to be. But I do it too much at an ad hoc basis. So I'm conscious of the fact that I need to address that, and I'm growing, thankfully, with our growth, and now the other venue, I've got a very good manager over there, and my wife is very actively involved in the business as well. So the 3 of us are sort of the core planning team, and us getting together and discussing it and working on it, it has actually made that a lot better, because I have to remove it just from my thought process and communicate it to other people, and they give me their view on it, and that I always find is a really big thing. That is the one those are the moments when you step away from working in the business to when you're working on the business. And we do that more and more, and I think that's a good thing.
Okay. So just to put you on the spot, where will Zierholz be in 3 to 5 years? What do you see the brand looking like?
We're working on a couple of scenarios, including maybe looking for a few more venues around Canberra. There's a certain amount of selfishness in that, is that I don't want to flood the Canberra market with Zierholz microbreweries, but I like the notion of having a few more smaller venues where I could have a 200 litre brewery and have play like in the olden days when I was home brewing and making interesting beers. And also bringing the beer to the locals, because as Canberra's expanding, and with driving and transport and so forth, I think having a few venues around the region would be really good, make it more accessible. However, in terms of the main brewery and so forth, I'm very keen to maybe relocate it to a more higher profile location. And as part of that move, we'd probably look at our own purpose-built building that would let us showcase the brewery itself and the processes more, as well as possibly expand and add a packaging line. Because obviously Australia, 80% of the beer market is bottled beer, and it's a fair slice of the market and hard to ignore. However, at the moment we're doing our 5 litre mini kegs, which are doing great things in the market. and getting good feedback, and it does present the beer on tap still, which is always...
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone likes to have beer on tap at home. It's like the ultimate dream as well if you don't own the brewery, isn't it?
That's right. That's exactly right.
All right, Christoph, my last question for you today is what advice would you have for people considering going into business?
Don't start a brewery, maybe. Or at least don't go into competition.
Yeah, not competition with you, anyway.
Well, actually, Canberra could do with another couple of small breweries. I think it would help to grow the overall profile of craft beer, I think, and so forth, provided they do a good job, of course. But I'd say, have a long, good, hard think about it. I spent almost a year planning after I left my old job and putting all the business model together and getting advice and talking to people in the industry, which has been valuable. Looking at making the right connections beforehand, and you have to make sure that you can surround yourself with a supportive team and that is on a personal level with family and friends. Without whom I wouldn't be here anymore. As well as get all the advice possible from professional sources as well. Sure. It's a good investment, and because you will make mistakes, but be prepared to learn from them. Just don't go into thinking that you know it all.
Good advice. I'm going to throw one more to you. What makes Zierholz beer? What's the point of difference on Zierholz beer compared to your other commercial beers?
I like to think well.
And it's a personal based question because I like my beer, so it's.
We've gone more down the traditional German route because that's obviously my background. I was born over there, brought up, and gives me instant credibility with beer.
Absolutely,
as a German,
absolutely.
You should know what you're doing.
Yes.
I select high quality ingredients. It's like other forms of cooking. What you get in, put in is what you get out. I'm very fastidious in terms of the techniques I use. Canberra water, as I think I said before, is just sensational to brew with, which is, I think, why Richard at the Wigan Pen cleans up at the awards. He makes really good beers. Our beer, I think, is a bit sort of differently angled, but still is part of that.
Where do your hops come from?
I buy a lot of hops from New Zealand, which are mostly European styles grown over there. Yep. I can buy it fresh there, and that's the other good thing with the sort of research in the craft beer market. We're getting much better ingredients than you could get 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Right. So it's like other forms of manufacturing but especially in the food sector, high quality ingredients, attention to detail, take care. We produce everything sort of handcrafted and in traditional ways. Right. Cold conditioned for a period to bring all the flavours together and make it more rounded, and then being very in terms of also caring for the beer after it's brewed. I think the one thing here in Australia people are brought up with, you can stick a slab of whatever in the car boot and somewhere at 50 degrees. As long as you stick an esky down the other end, it'll be right because you can't taste the -1 anyway. Yep. Our beer is very different, so we make sure that once it's brewed, it's chilled and kept cold. And when we deliver the beer, we make sure that it goes in the cool room down the other end. We don't leave them sit on a loading dock for 3 days or whatever. Right. And that preserves that fresh kind of taste.
So what's the ideal serving temperature for your beers?
It'll run well on a normal Australian system at 0 - 1, and that's for pouring reasons. Yep. However, like most other European beers, if you can let it go to a few degrees, you really start to get the flavours through. So for most of them, between 3 and 5 degrees. The darker beers, even a little bit more. Not quite like the British ones, English, but still not quite as extreme as Australian beers out of a tinny, ice cold esky. Which has got its place.
Yeah, no, definitely. Christoph, I could probably talk to you for a lot longer, but it is a small interview project, so I need to keep the interview short. So thank you very much for your time today, and appreciate your answers.
Thanks very much, and props to everyone.
Cheers.